What's up, guys? We're back with another episode of Cowboys Culture Podcast. I'm here with Jacob and Steven, and I'm Ethan. This is an interesting week, but we're going to get into our sponsorship, and we'll get right into some Cowboys content.
Interesting week indeed, but first of all, thank you to 360 Roofing and Restoration, residential and commercial roofing needs in the DFW Metroplex. That's where you want to go. This is us coming off the Philadelphia Eagle game. We lost. Game we thought we should have won as Cowboy fans, as Cowboys enthusiasts. We did not. We completely demoralized the Eagles on the stat sheet. Just couldn't get it done. Multiple reasons why we think that may have happened. The refs might have played a part in that. The Cowboys may have played a part in that. Who did not play, I think we're all in agreement, who didn't play a large part in that was the Eagles. However, just real quick, we're going to see these guys again here in December. And I'm here to tell you, if we're still healthy at that point, I really think we'll dismantle them. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I do too.
I think we got a good taste for them last night. I think we found out, like a lot of teams have found out this year, the Eagles they're not the crown jewel of football like everybody says they are on the national side of things. So let's jump right in. Let's prove it, right? Let's talk about last night's performances. Let's start with. I
just wanted to say really quick, in case you guys didn't hear, Martavius Bryant is working out with the Cowboys. Apparently, he still plays football, and we, for some reason, want to work out a guy who hasn't played in the NFL in like eons. So that's might be important. And if he gets signed, then we'll talk a little bit more about him. But go ahead, Steven. Yeah,
Martavius Bryant, it's funny. I had to tell these young bucks who that was. So, just jumping into last night's game. This is the Monday after. So, we're a podcast of narratives, right? First of all, the narrative around the Dallas Cowboys is always we're a wealthy franchise with a big fan base that can't get it done, right?
Yeah.
So, going into the Eagles game from last night, the narrative for that is Cowboys are frauds. They're not as good as they say they are. They're not, some of these blowout wins are kind of fraudulent. We're kind of getting into the territory now too, where the Cowboys have already dismantled teams that are beating the Eagles. But we'll stay focused on this game. Dallas Cowboys were head and shoulders better than the Eagles last night. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts is the shoe-in MVP for the year, right? If you ask your Stephen A. Smiths and everything, why wouldn't he be? He's God's gift to football. Last night, Jalen goes 17 for 23, 207 yards, and he threw for 2 touchdowns. He got sacked 3 times. And then you kind of flip over to Dak, and Dak goes 29 for 44, 374 yards.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He took some licks too. Looks like he went down 5 times, but those are kind of washes when you're throwing up almost 400 yards of offense and getting into 3 touchdown territory anyway. So I'll just get right into this. Based off the narrative of Jalen is just head and shoulders above Dak. Dak just never quite got to where Hurts is as fast as Hurts did. Ethan, I'll start with you. I mean, digging into that narrative and what we saw last night, what do you got to say about it?
I mean, I'll flip the narrative on what what everybody says about the Cowboys, like who have the Cowboys played?
Yeah.
Who have the Eagles played?
Sure.
What top receivers have the Eagles gone up against?
Well, no, they've played one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they lost to a really, really good defense in the New York Jets.
Yeah, I think that as far as you look at AJ and that that is what has made the Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts was terrible before they got AJ.
I think both guys bail him out all the time.
Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith was horrible before they got AJ Brown.
Agreed,
AJ Brown opens up he can't. He never has been, and he never will be. Yeah. He's not a number one. But then again, they come for CD. They come for CD, and they say CD. He's that idiot that's on Undisputed. I forget. He's not even worth remembering. But he has dreads or braids or something, and he I don't know, I think he used to play for like the Seahawks or something.
Sure. That
dude's a straight up more. Yeah, I think so.
Does he tell people a lot that he goes to Stanford?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. You went there because you play football, buddy. But anyway, the dude's a moron. But anyway, he says CD's a fringe number one wide receiver. The dude. Let's put this in perspective. The dude had triple plus with some left over more receiving yards than AJ Brown in that game. Yeah. Dak Prescott almost had double Jalen Hurts' yards. So, in my opinion, I think that they're not the same. You can use the winning and the going to the Super Bowl as a quarterback stat type thing, but and you could say, well, we had Amari Cooper, and that was the same thing as having AJ. And Amari Cooper would go into the front office and whine about receptions. And it got to the point where Jason Garrett was like, "Hey, buddy, we're benching you, dude, because you're being annoying." And then when you ask for the ball, you don't catch the ball because you're being a little brat. You're not seeing that with Eagles. AJ's going out there and having 120-yard games. And so whenever I look at these games, it's like, who have they played? They haven't played any teams where you have an elite receiver, like a top 5 receiver like CeeDee Lamb. An elite quarterback in Dak Prescott who's going up against this elite Eagles team with a crazy D-line, and he's putting up almost 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and stuff. And he didn't even care who was on the other side of the ball. And I understand that we lost and everything, but it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, when you think about that game, if you're a Cowboys, Eagles, NFL fan, if you go back and look at that game, you're not thinking, man, the Eagles had a big stop there. That was huge. No, the Cowboys at every moment were at the right. Dak was putting us. CD was putting us. Ferg was also a top tight end in the NFL now. Just in case you heard it here first, folks. But we were dominating that team, like you're saying. Jalen was outplayed. AJ was completely outplayed. DeAndre Swift and however many of their running backs and even their quarterback, who's a running back at times, was outplayed by Pollard, even though Pollard played terrible. Micah got back there, got his sacks. Like, everybody was playing on par. I just think that, we just couldn't put it together in some weird. You want to chalk it up to officiating because I don't do that really ever, but I'm doing it. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how to feel about this game. I feel confident that we can keep going and beat teams, but and make it into the playoffs, because I don't know which teams are better than us. But it does suck that we lost that game, because we definitely should have won, and Dak deserves all his flowers, like Micah said. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
So, hey, Jake, he was talking about AJ. So, let's look at CD and AJ. CD goes for 11 catches, 191 yards. So, just to put that in perspective, 191 yards of Dak's 374 go to 88. Yeah. So, and then you flip over to AJ, who had 7 catches. You would expect that to be in the hundreds, right? AJ went for 66 yards. So
it broke that streak, by the way.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about the whole narrative going into this game, and then touch on the receivers and that number one receiver combo, and just how ours played against theirs.
Yeah. Well, going with the narrative like you guys have been saying. What's the narrative that we all hear every single week, day in and day out? It's about the Cowboys, that Well, starting with Dak. Dak doesn't show up in big games. He can't beat good teams.
Cowboys haven't played anybody.
Yeah, we never play anybody. After we beat them, they're not good. That's why I kind of wanted to.
Can't beat really good quarterbacks. Dak can't beat really good quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was interested to see what they would have said if we would have won this game. But anyways, it was that. It was CeeDee Lamb's not number one. He doesn't show up. Blah blah blah. But what did we see? We saw Dak Prescott probably had his best game of the season in the biggest moment away at Philly, right? We saw CeeDee Lamb have the best game of his career. We see A.J. Brown have the worst game of his season, by comparison, if you want to do a comparison between him and CD. And then when you see Jalen Hurts, Jalen did nothing. I mean, what did he have, like 100 and something passing yards? I mean, you're talking about...
No, he threw for 207 yards.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought he had like 207, like...
17 for 23 with 207, 2 touchdowns.
Passing. Okay. Either way, 200 yards when you're comparing to Dak, who had almost double, right? Mm-hmm. So the narrative of the Cowboys and Dak don't show up in big games was not the case. Jalen and A.J. and Devonta Smith and the run game, none of that.
Real quick before you get too far away from the 207, Jalen, I think I texted you guys this last night. Jalen 6 yards you to death, right? That guy, and this is a knock on our defense, which we'll get to, but Jalen Hurts can throw a ball for 6 yards and it's going for 18.
Yeah, so. But okay, yeah, that happened a lot. But the bottom line is the narrative was that we can trust the Eagles more in big games. We can't trust the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is the Cowboys in every aspect of the ball, passing, running the ball, special teams, everything, right, outshined and outplayed them, okay? So I thought I heard something in the door. So that narrative of showing up, in my opinion, was completely out of the window. When you have our guys having, like CeeDee Lamb, having the best games of his career in a big game like that, and you have guys that like A.J. Brown who are blowing up the league, having the worst game of his season, it's just the complete opposite of the narrative is what we saw. So
yeah, the narrative coming into this game, and I heard it so many different times, and it made me so mad. Just like I said again, we understand the Cowboys lost this game. We are all aware of that, but don't give me that crap where you're coming in like, okay, clearly the Eagles are going to win, and the Eagles are the best team in the NFC because they just have a better team than the Cowboys. Let's look at the stats, man. Let's look at each player, pound for pound, at each position of everything, except for right tackle. Except for right tackle. Let me make that clear.
Yeah, but if they're pound for pound better than us, each position they're better than us. They're clearly better than us. Clearly better than the Cowboys. Jake Ferguson also had 7 catches. A.J. Brown, he went for 91. A.J. goes for 66, and this is $1 million receiver. I mean, this guy is touted as one of the top 2-3 receivers in the NFL.
And Goddard 3 for 50.
Jake Ferguson outplayed you, A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, and I mean, it's like not only that, but the criticism that Dak gets compared to Jalen Hurts, when you watch that game, anybody who's not a hater and who's just being unbiased should be able to say, Dak Prescott came out there and you could see a complete difference between. It's like a
absolute field general last night.
Yeah, you got to see the difference between a game manager and an actual put the team on your back quarterback. Dak was having to scramble for his life in that game. Jalen Hurts was backing up with 80 seconds to throw the ball, and Dak still just completely outplayed him. Showed what an actual elite quarterback is supposed to look like, and you got to see it because Jalen finally plays a good quarterback in his career, and he played one versus San Francisco. He played one in the Super Bowl when he played Pat Mahomes with a high ankle sprain, and he still got beat. And he played Dak, and even though they won the game, Dak showed the distance between the two guys in that game in terms of how much better Dak is. And I know we'll probably get into it, but so first off, the main takeaway that you're saying, starting with the receivers, obviously, if you're going to tell me
just CD and AJ straight up,
the knock on CD was he doesn't show up. He's not a number one receiver because he doesn't show up in big games. The dude had the best game of his career on the biggest stage this so far in this season, and AJ Brown had his worst. So then, who's the real number one, right? That's number one. But number two, you talk about the narratives between the teams. Who do you trust more to show up in big games? Well, clearly the Cowboys came ready to play. The Eagles ended up winning that game for sure. But like we're going to talk about, the narrative around just football in general and how everybody talks about these types of things, it's always based off of just who wins, right? But that personally annoys me because I'm like, a win, yeah, I get it. A win is a win, but honestly, not every win is the same, right? And I think this is a game, just like we see multiple times throughout the year, every year, where the better team doesn't always win. The team that shows up and plays the best in that game doesn't always get the victory. The better quarterback doesn't always win. And truly, I think this was an example. I know we're probably going to break it down a little bit more, but I think that that when it comes to the narrative, the Cowboys put that to bed, I think, in this game. They had their best game so far. I really think that overall as a team,
it's a shame you lose the best game you've played thus far.
Yeah, but in terms of just how we played, in terms of scoring points, clearly not our best game. But in terms of how well every aspect of the team played, I think we played really well. And I think, honestly, the Eagles had one of their better performing games. But it like they've been playing, they haven't really been playing great this whole season. But they've just been getting wins.
All right, so another question for you, Jake, and let's get into it. So we did outplay them.
Yeah.
Head and shoulders outplayed them. Go through these skills positions. Our guys just outplayed all their guys, but we lost the game. So you gave me. Earlier today, you gave me 3 reasons why we lost the game. Why don't you share those with the class?
Well, I mean, so specifically at the end of the game where you had those 2 penalties and everything like that. But so there were a couple things that I believe happened. Number one, it was when you talk about, and we talked about a lot of this earlier, me and Steven, but in every game, there are going to be those 50-50 moments that, whether those are penalties that could possibly be called, or maybe you're on the fence, whether those are fumbles, tipped passes, time moments where this is going to the booth review because did he have his feet in bounds, did he cross the goal line, things like that. There are moments like that in every single game that are 50-50. They could go either way.
Yeah.
And sometimes they swing the game, sometimes they don't. And it just so happened that in this game, outside of maybe one, which was that QB sneak that Dak had that they tried to challenge, but it went in our favor. Every single one of them, like 99% of those 50-50s, went in the Eagles' favor. And
the Eagles have made a habit of
And
finding ways for that
if you
to
go
happen
back
in their
and you're
favor.
just an honest fan or just an honest, unbiased football watcher, and you go back and watch the Eagles games, you'll notice a trend, and it's those moments that could go either way, but somehow whether the refs don't see it or whether they didn't review the play in time and they got the play off, but if they would have noticed it wasn't a catch or something like that. The Eagles have a habit of getting those moments go in their favor, and it just so happened that in this game, those moments were very, very impactful. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the refs this was not a game like the Miami game where somehow the Eagles didn't get any penalties but Miami gets 11 or so. The refs called penalties on both teams, but it just so happened that our penalties, and I'm not saying this was necessarily intentional by the refs, But it just so happened that our penalties ended up being way more costly than theirs were. Our penalties were drive killers or cost us from getting into the end zone, whereas their penalties, just how they unfolded, weren't very consequential. And then on top of that, there's the second thing that I think was a big part of it was just the time management at the end of that game, which was, you know, if we would have had more of a sense of urgency at some of our like second and third to last drives, I think we could have had at least another 20, 30 seconds on that final drive, and possibly, that could have been a game changer if we had a couple extra seconds, right? So there's those types of things. There's possibly taking some field goals instead of trying to be overly aggressive in certain moments.
Yeah.
You take even one field goal and it's a whole different story, right?
Yeah.
So like that 4th and 8, you take that field goal, that changes the course of the game. You get to go into overtime. And the thing is, and then on top of that, okay, the third thing is just, I guess this kind of goes in line with the first one, but there were moments of just the no call situations, like such as that sack that pretty much sealed the deal for us with that clear hit to the head that Dak on Dak that should have been a personal foul, the hands to the face to Gallup, the
penalty on Stephon Gilmore when he didn't commit pass
Then
interference on AJ
when
Brown.
Darius
Didn't even touch
Slade
him.
holds CeeDee Lamb's arm back and doesn't call it.
The play sort of fell apart there. The Gilmore PI. It just kind of, both him and Brown just kind of quit on it because it wasn't there. And
Yeah, so it's
flag.
just like when I looked at that game, it's like if you say,
I think Brown was a little scared that it was on him. You know?
yeah, like I don't think you could honestly say if you watch that game and you're not being a hater that the Eagles beat us. Like how? If they did, how? They didn't beat us passing the ball. They didn't beat us running the ball. They had some of their worst games in that respect. What happened was we gave them in a good portion of the drives, we gave them short fields by penalties, and helped them in many cases either by getting called on penalties or not getting penalties called on them. They had a couple good moments and a couple good drives. I think they had 3 red zone trips out of 10, right? Outside of that, we shut them down.
Yeah,
we lost.
The Cowboys continued to find themselves trying to correct their own mistakes.
Yeah, we lost because the culmination of those 50-50 moments, in my opinion, I think if you're just really being honest, you'll say that the culmination of those 50-50 moments throughout the game that could have gone either way, like fumbling 3 times and it bounces right to you.
Yeah.
Those are just things that everyone, that you can't really, those are out of your control. It's either going to go one way or another, right?
Yeah.
And it just so happened that for us, all of those, with the exception of that one Dak one, is the only sneak. That was the only one I can remember went in their favor. And so I would say my take is, did they beat us? I don't think you can say that. I think it's we just beat ourselves with our mistakes or had just misfortune, really.
Yeah, but in South Philly today, they feel really good because they got the most important stat line of NFL football. They got the higher score. So,
yeah,
one way or another, they did. They won. And I'll respect that. I'll say this: we get another shot at them in the Death Star, and I just don't know how they can string that together a second time. Ethan, why'd we lose?
Man, I think I come back to more. It's like my moral compass goes back to what Jacob was saying about they really just they got away with this one.
Say what you want to say.
They genuinely just got away with this. But and everybody says this, and I've never, like, I've heard people so many times, like, when we play, hey, the refs just screwed us, dude. I hate that, dude, because I think that's just such a big excuse. But like, because I watched every minute of the game, every second.
I'm a big fan of saying, if you're so much better, then just win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I know because on that last drive of the game, we got 2 huge penalties that we needed, like pass interference and then roughing the passer. I think it was that got us
the offsides.
That got us like,
and then roughing the passer. Yeah,
because it was a big pass completed, and then it was roughing the passer, so we got like an extra 15 added on, which put us, I think, right at the 6-yard line, right? But then I'm like,
with 3 yards to go for a first down.
It's like, you got us there. Like we got there. You saw these clear penalties.
Less than 50 seconds, no timeouts. We did the things to get us down there. The Gallup pass interference play, downfield on.
But listen to this.
Well, no, I just wanted to kind of talking about giving Dak his flowers. That is a Dak play. Dak
100%.
Dak designed that pass interference.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is like, yeah, but those are clear penalties. Yeah. It's not like, if you're an Eagles fan, you're not like, oh, what? Like, dude,
Gallup's jumping back
Gallup's
through
like, if the Mike is the defender, Gallup is like this.
Yeah, he jumped back through it. Yeah.
If you're talking about the roughing the passer play, they almost gave Dak a concussion on that play. Mm-hmm. All this kind of stuff. When it came to the time that matters most, the Cowboys didn't get it done.
Yeah.
Man, I'm like, man, I get it. Chuma should have went to the white hat and told him, what, I'm here, whatever.
You have to.
When Dak looks back at you and says, hey, this one right here, are we good to go? And I'm sure the guy went.
He did not.
I'm sure why would Dak go like this if he didn't go like this?
He didn't.
Anyway.
Dak, I'm sure, saw the hat looking at him doing that, and Dak probably took that as he clearly saw me saying this. The point is that Chuma has to go and check in.
Yeah,
he has to physically
whatever the
go
case
up to
may
him
be,
and saying, "Hey, I'm checking in eligible."
But people, what
didn't do
because I almost fell into that just now. Let's not even look at that last drive. If you want to look at that last drive and say that's it, no, it isn't. The Gallup hands to the face. Yeah. The freaking Gilmore crap call that we got, and the dude didn't even touch him. The no holding on Micah, which gave them a huge play on a running play for, what was it, Gainwell or Swift or whoever. That was like a 15+ yard run. It's like those are game changing things. Calls that we did and didn't get in our favor from the refs.
And not only that, think about this, E. Not only did they not call him flat holding on Micah, but the refs essentially told us that Micah Parsons did not get held all game.
Yeah.
All Micah Parsons does is get held.
The best pass rusher in the league doesn't get held in a single game. It's just like the dude, that's crazy. And to me, it's like there was just so many times where it was like they like when the TV people like instantly see it, it's like, dude, that should have been a penalty. Like, because I know
the Schoonmaker hold, which was ticky tacky, and Greg Olson was.
The things
you wish you wouldn't call
and again, that gave them a huge play, And my point is this: you noticed that ticky tack, very overlookable thing, but when a dude just goes like a, like punches Gallup in the teeth, they're like, like just it's ridiculous.
Well, and they pick up a flag too.
The jumbotron, the fans, everybody, the nation is watching the dude freaking grab Micah's titty and just pull him. And the guy is running right. I mean, whoever it was is running right past him, and Micah's like, and the guy
and the ref was like,
the ref's looking at him
directly in front of them.
The ref's sitting there looking at him like this, and it's just like nothing.
Well,
that's my thing. That's my thing. But then when Schoonmaker's like, just like, oh, my bad, bro, and then we're like, just flags flying everywhere.
Flags in the field. No, but the thing is going off of what Ethan's saying, because I get it. Everybody, and this is why I get a little bit annoyed.
Yeah, and the Gilmore thing, Gilmore was probably like, hey, man, good route. Pass interference.
Wait, I was just saying something to him.
Because
how we have to get a pass interference is Gallup's like,
okay. Yeah, because, everybody boils it down to the Cowboys didn't get it done. The Eagles find a way to win.
Stupid.
But the thing is this. I get that, and that's fine.
They didn't.
But listen, I know, and Steven always comes with this crap.
They could have gotten it done, but they didn't.
I know, but listen, how many if
you're with the crap, baby.
How many game-changing calls or non-calls or mistakes or whatever can happen before you say that there's like, okay, if Micah Parsons, if they're just going to hold you every play and their refs are not going to call it, what can you do about that? If we're going to go on for a fourth down and Schoonmaker is going to get straight up judo tackled before he gets the ball in his hands, and then that causes a fourth.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
We,
so yeah.
What do we suppose?
And the thing is that in that play, the thing was, oh man, he got his knee down too fast before putting the ball over the plane. Why did that happen then? Do you think the dude just fell to his knees? The guy, while he's in stride, running with his hands up like this to grab the ball and go like this, the dude is holding on to his waist, pulling him down, which causes his knee to touch the floor, which does what? Turns the ball over in the red zone.
You know how
on fourth down.
Do you know how defenders always get away with that when the receiver catches the ball? They always end up getting away with those calls when the receiver catches the ball. Yeah. You'll say, the ref says, must be fine. The guy caught it. You want a flag, he caught it. You got what you want.
Yeah, but so, the thing is that it doesn't just interfere with the catch. It interferes with the play
and the game.
You see,
the whole game is different if his knees are in. If that doesn't happen,
what you were saying earlier with Jalen, who's awful. When Jalen plays and he just somebody who's like, I got an elite wide receiver out there. Let me just toss it right there. Oh, Ed, he took off for 50 yards at the touchdown. That kind of deal. That's that same idea. The dude's on his feet making a run. That's a touchdown. All he does is run, catch, turn, run, boom. But the dude, even if the dude tackles him after he catches the ball, you're going to lean this way. But when you're trying to make that catch, you're this. And while the dude's already pulling you down, you're trying to make a secure catch. You're not thinking about, let me turn. You know what I'm saying? Although, don't throw it to the rookie, tight end, all this crap, but throw it to
he was an open guy. I mean,
throw it to the first touchdown of his career in the end zone. No, that's fine.
I thought that was. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that play and that decision by Prescott.
Especially considering when Terrence, if you watch that play, I mean, Terrence Steele Terrence Steele kind of just stood up. And then, I think it was a safety or something, or a linebacker just went. Dak was like, and the dude was kind of. You watch him, and he's kind of like. Just watch that
Terrence
back.
Steele,
Terrence
he didn't have
your
his
butt
best showing.
cheeks. I revoke as a Texas Tech student. I revoke your alumni
status,
alumni status, whatever.
But we need to kind of wrap up here, but I'll say this: I am of the ilk that will say all of the things you guys are saying are true. We kind of talked about this a little bit before we jumped on here. All of those things are true. All of those played a big factor in the way the game ended. The issue I have is how the game ended in reality was 26 seconds down on the Philadelphia end. We needed to go 3 yards for a first down. We needed to go 6 yards to win the game. We did not do that. There's a lot of reasons we didn't do that. some of them are on us. And then some of them, I think, are on play calling. But I think we can all agree that almost none of that outside of one sack in that 26 seconds, because in football, 26 seconds is a long time of clock time. It's a long time. And within that time, the Cowboys lost the game over and over and over. Mm-hmm. The Eagles, I think we can agree, did not do much to interfere in those 26 seconds. We just sat there.
How are you going to say, listen, let me just say this.
Fourth quarter.
How are you going to say the Eagles found a way to win when you didn't score any points in the fourth quarter whatsoever? You had 2 drives where you could have, all you had to do was get a first down and you seal the deal.
Yeah.
And you go 3 and out twice.
Yeah.
And then the
Cowboys should have never had the ball
We
back.
get 50 seconds to go down the field after we have royally just had the most unfortunate Schoonmaker knee and then Dak stepping 3 inches outside. We've had some of the most unfortunate, worst luck ever. We somehow get the ball with 0 timeouts and 50 seconds left, and you proceed to have a pass interference, roughing the passer, and a neutral zone infraction that get us to the 5-yard line. And then we proceed to have a false start.
Yeah, we go down there and beat ourselves.
False start,
double sack.
A sack where Dak gets hit in the head and there's no call.
No, ineligible player downfield to double sack, false start.
Yeah. How are you going to say the Eagles completely just? How are you going to say the Eagles found a way to win? They wanted. It's like they wanted to give us that game.
Can I rephrase?
We lost that game for ourselves.
Ineligible player downfield.
No, it was the delay of game. It was a false start, delay of game. Remember, after this, there was a false start, the sack where Dak just got shouldered straight to the face, almost decapitated the man, and then, and the refs are just like, it's a sack, and then we proceed, and then we proceed to just not snap the ball and back up even more. And how are you going to say the Eagles found a way to win? Even with all that, CeeDee Lamb was 3 yards away from getting a touchdown, winning the game.
I want, if you are a viewer of this podcast or you catch this. Let that be the one thing you take from this. The Eagles did not find a way to win.
They found a way to lose.
So did we, but
almost.
But
yeah, we found a way to lose.
We found a way to lose. What I think is the most important thing you said, and I think it's the biggest point of this particular episode, is the Eagles just did they win? Yes. Did they put a whooping on the Cowboys? Did they methodically beat us? Absolutely not. We found a way for them to win.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
They played as they have multiple times this year. And if you're honest, this is the truth. The Eagles have taken, and this is something we predicted at the beginning of the season. The Eagles reached their peak last year. They're on the decline. They are clearly not the team on defense they were last year, and they clearly aren't as good as they were on offense last year. They have been playing.
It's not the first 8-1 start we've ever seen.
They have been playing a slightly above average every game. Not great, but getting the wins. They're good at somehow, finding themselves getting the W. And this game,
they're good at finding themselves.
Yeah, Sirianni's with a minute left in the game. Sirianni's over there crying on somebody's shoulder,
was toast.
And then they're like, "We won," and he's like,
yeah, like just
doing that stupid arm thing that he does with that guy, like he is playing the game or something.
Yeah, the dude brags about getting penalty yards. I mean, this is the kind of guy we're dealing with. But anyways, it doesn't. Yeah, but
let's just wrap. Let's wrap.
But yeah, so just like they have done throughout this season, this is my main takeaway. What we saw from the Eagles is what I expected, which was them to play about slightly above average. They have a good offensive line and receiving weapons. I expect them to do decent, but they don't play as good as you would think a team with that kind of hype would get, as they haven't the rest of the whole season so far. But they get outplayed by a Cowboys team that just finds a way at the end, even though the Eagles were in a position where they almost couldn't lose that game. They found a way to give us the victory, and we just didn't capitalize on it time after time. And my takeaway is what I learned, the Cowboys are who I thought they were, which are better than the Eagles. a top team. Now, are they going to win? Are they going to win the Super Bowl? Am I saying that, or are they going to what? Like, are we going to win the division? I don't know, because like I was saying at the beginning, the best team doesn't always win, like we saw in this game. But I think if you're honest, the Cowboys outplayed the Eagles in a big game. Jalen didn't look too great. AJ didn't look too great. I'm feeling good about the next time we play him.
Yeah, I think we all share that narrative.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be different when they come here. So I will say this though, and this is, I'm taking this from you and just kind of running with it. Is I'm ready to start seeing, Cowboys were clearly the better team last night, beyond Philly in so many ways.
Yeah.
But we couldn't find a way to close it out. For whatever reason, we just couldn't. There's 100 reasons we've all discussed since the whistle last night. But I'm ready, as an old, jaded, middle-aged Cowboys fan. That kind of always seems to be us. It's almost a signature. It's almost a signature move to kind of not close out these kind of marquee ones.
Yeah.
I can think back to Tony Romo, prime Peyton Manning, and Romo just going, just toe to toe with him, blow for blow with Peyton. This is those Denver teams, right? So like, who ended up winning a Super Bowl, went to 2. But, just going toe-to-toe with him, blow for blow, and, just ends it with a dumb mistake. I mean, this game got up into the high 40s, So,
Yeah.
Anyway, that tends to be a bugaboo that follows us around as a franchise. I wish we could get to the point, because I do believe great teams will find a way to win these games and not find a way to beat ourselves.
Yeah.
And I look forward to getting into these San Francisco games, getting into these Eagle games where the Eagles, it's us and them in the division and nobody else matters. And then, we have teams like the Dolphins coming up. We have teams like the Lions coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Lions is going to be huge. That's going to be a huge NFC game. And I just hope we can find a way to put our foot down at the end and get over the hump. But I'm not worried about the Cowboys at all. Just like you just said, the Cowboys are who I think they are. They're a good defensive team. The offense is starting to click. They have found an identity on offense. Dak on the run, Dak on the move, whether he takes off himself or he's throwing on the run, that's prime Dak Prescott. And he looks absolute field general. He looks like a top. You want to talk about him with Allen. You want to talk about him with Burrow. You want to talk about him with Mahomes this year. He's worth him. He's an honorable mention in all of that. So,
let me ask you guys this: which
100%.
quarterback, defense, and overall offense looked better when it mattered most in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, for sure, because they didn't score in the fourth quarter and we did. Now we didn't
exactly.
We didn't score in the third quarter, but I will say when it came down to what we call back in Louisiana nut cutting time. When it came down to that, and we needed a stop to get our quarterback the ball back and give him one more shot at it, we made that stop happen. Now, Sirianni also called a pass.
That was bad.
I don't know what he was doing.
But who knows if that was if Jalen just threw? I don't know.
No, I mean Sirianni.
But what I'm saying is, they didn't do anything special when it mattered most. We beat ourselves, and so. But going off what you're saying, I agree with you. The one thing that the Eagles have seemingly mastered is not necessarily playing great, but not beating themselves, and somehow managing to get those lucky breaks to go in their favor more than any team I've ever seen in the league. And so maybe if there's one thing we can learn from them, it's how can we figure out how to get the good fortune on our side and to not.
And to be honest, I think Dak Prescott plays a big part in that. I think Dak is really starting to see in this. It's not quite the twilight of Dak Prescott's career, but I think as a veteran quarterback, I think he really is starting to be able to play into the rule book, much like the Gallup PI. He materialized that. He saw that, he materialized it. So I think if you're going to flip that script and just like you're saying, kind of find those little breaks, those little lucky things that aren't really so much a skill as much as just kind of playing into the rule book. i.e. a quarterback drawing someone off sides to get a play downfield, because all it's going to be is a pass interference anyway, and stealing a huge chunk of yardage. I think that's if you're truly looking for an answer for that, I think it starts with a veteran quarterback, which we have, and old boy's in his 5th year and he wasn't a starter for long, so I think we have that advantage. But to wrap it up, man, it's a heartbreaker again. And Dak and the quarterback always shoulders this burden, right? So if the narrative of a football organization is, man, these guys, they beat up on the teams they're supposed to beat up on, they can't quite close the door in the big ones. I sound like Greg Olson right there. But, they can't quite, so the quarterback always shoulders that identity of the team. So Dak, as of right now, is always known as a guy that can't quite get that big one won, can't quite get past that that divisional round. And it's been something that's haunted the team as a franchise long before Dak was there. But yeah, we do continue to kind of keep writing that script over and over.
Yeah.
So we gotta figure that out. We gotta get past that.
I just hope we can, these next, for the rest of the season, we can just try and stay as healthy as possible. We're gonna probably dismantle these Giants this next week with no Daniel Jones.
I don't know if you saw the first game out there, but
I was actually thinking about going to that game, and now it's probably a waste of money.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't know if you guys had anything else.
No.
But yeah, make sure you guys.
No shame in last night.
Yeah, no shame.
Yeah, I'm not feeling terrible.
We played a great game, guys. Make sure you guys are continuing to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. We want to hear from you guys. We welcome the DM. We welcome comments on the Instagram posts. We welcome followers. We want to hear from you guys. We want to see some feedback. Let us know if we're doing a good job or not, and let us know if you're liking the content or what do you want to hear about or whatever. So, or any segment ideas you guys have, let us know. So, we'll see you guys later.
Jalen was a Sooner.
Oh, gosh. Peace.